How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So in this video, we're going to look at 5 keys that are dropping in price, and some of them dropping by quite a bit. But also, most of these comics, if not all these comics, are actually from you guys. So just comment below on a comic book, maybe one or two that you really want me to check out, and I will look at them and kind of see if they're going up or going down and try to place them on the video. Now, I get a ton of comments, and I literally only have 5 spots, so I can't obviously do every single one. But put them down below anyways, and the next video, maybe I'll do something special, since there's so many of you. I can't guarantee anything because, frankly, I'll probably forget by next weekend. But if I do remember, I will do something special, and it'll be a unique dropping video, just a one-off type of dropping one, not like this weekly one that I do. And I'll do something unique, and I think you guys will like it. Well, hopefully you do. So comment below on a comic book that you want me to check out and to give my little analysis and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's get into the first one. First one is Evil Ernie #2. This is the first appearance of Lady Death. A 9.4 is down 41% from 450 to 265. A 9.6 is down 37% from 503 to 315. And a 9.8 is up from $900, now currently selling for $1,300, which is an all-time record, and it's up 44%. Now you might be wondering, but David, this is going up. This should go on your going up video, but it's also going down on the lower grades. So where does it belong? I get a lot of requests for certain comic books, and I can't put them in a video because it's like this. Well, at one hand, it's breaking an all-time record. On the other hand, it's actually going down. So there's no concrete evidence to tell you guys, hey, it's going down, it's going up. I can't even tell. Obviously, the 9.8 is going to be more rare, so because there's probably not that many of them and not many coming for sale. So when they do, if someone really wants it, they'll pay a high price. So in generally, I say it's going down, but again, at the same hand, it's going up. And the reason why I put this one in here is because I've had lots of requests for like these more horror books, modern horror, indie books, and multiple times for Evil Ernie. And so I figured I'd just put it on here to satisfy the people that really wanted to hear about it. And the reason why a lot of times I don't put books on this list, because I'll see it and I'll check it out and I'm like, well, it doesn't fit. So I figured I'd just put it on this list just in case you guys wanted to know what was going on with it. And I remember I have like this vision burned in my head of Evil Ernie. So I was homeschooled up until 7th grade was my first full normal school. And I remember going into class, I had Mr. Brand for science and math, so I think it was probably math. And I sat next to this guy named Jay, and before class started, he was reading a comic book, and he was reading Evil Ernie. Now, me growing up with comic books, I grew up with a different type of comic books than Evil Ernie. I obviously grew up with like Silver Age Spider-Man, Golden Age stuff, things like that. So when I saw that, I was like, what is this? So that image is burned in my mind about like Evil Ernie. Next up, we got Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is from 2022 series, and this is the Hustle variant with Eminem. A 9.4 is down 50% from 600 in January, now selling for 300. A 9.6 is down 60% from 750 in January, now selling for 300. And a 9.8 sold at the tail end of 2022 for 2,500, now selling for $575, down 77%. Yeah, so someone suggested to put this on here, and I've talked about this at length many, many times, but I'll continue to talk about it because not everyone watches the videos that I do, even though you should. Anyways, so this is what happens with variants and new books and modern books in general. The hype is very, very strong. The FOMO, all that kind of stuff. Because why? You have, they come out with a #1 or whatever. This is a Spider-Man #1, and they come out with all these variants. And of course, Marvel's going to push it, and whoever else, the artists, the writers, all that kind of stuff, they're going to push their variants. They're going to make it seem like the next big thing. And whatever character is going to be in this book is going to be the biggest character ever in the entire history of comic books. That's marketing. That's what they do. So everyone, because they want to sell books, right? That's what they want to do. So they go out and I don't know how many they sold. Let's say they sold hundreds of thousands of copies, like 150, 200,000 plus of the copies. And then you have to buy X amount to get like the 1 in 10, the 1 in 25, the 1 in 100 variant. And maybe they have select store variants and all this kind of stuff, billions of variants. So yeah. So then as, people are like, I got to get them all. They're like Pokemon. So you got to go and get all your variants because you don't know which one is going to be the hot one that's going to be, to the moon, so to speak. So usually the more expensive ones are the ones that are more rare. So if it's like 1 in 100 or 1 in 250, those are, or it's a secret shop only variant, things like that. Those might be more expensive, or if they have a better artist on it, things like that. So that goes with like variants and how expensive they are. But this will always happen because out of the gate, I don't know exactly when this book came out, but I imagine probably the tail end of 2022. Out of the gate, they're going to be super expensive because all the FOMO is high. And so all these people, right, there's a whole group of people that want this particular book or a couple different variants of that book. And so then they really, really want it. So the first one out of the gate, boom, they all go grab it. Well, now you still have a bunch of variants because, again, I've told you this 1,000 times. Modern comics are a massive high print runs. And you might be like, oh, 80,000, that's low. Yeah, but this is not like 80,000 back in 1938 where most of them were destroyed and damaged. All these 80,000 in 10 years' time will most likely exist. And they will all exist in 9/8 through like 9/4 because most people just grab them and slap them. Or they keep them and they keep them very close and they don't ruin them. There's like a fly. So yeah. So it's not the same as a book you picked up even from the 70s or anything like that, where most of them got read, destroyed, thrown away, no one really cared, and they're much harder to come by in high grade compared to like modern books. Is they're literally all going to be high grade. So you got that going for it. Then you're like, okay, well, how does it reach this highs of like 2,500? So these books, I don't know what they're selling for ungraded, but then the first ones to get them graded and get them out of the gate, again, you have a bunch of people that really want it. They go and buy it, and then supply and demand. Then more start showing up. And I've said this millions of times, like, for example, Wizards #1. All of a sudden, a 9/8 sells for like, I don't know, it's like 20,000. And the next one sells for 13,000. And then the next one sells for 7. And then the next one sells for 5. It does this all the time because a bunch of people want that, and they go after it. But then people are like, oh, it's worth a lot. So more and more start showing up, but supply and demand. All of a sudden the supply goes up and the demand is still the same, and it's, it just dwindles from there. So someone asked me, was like, what do I think about this book long term? No, I really like this. I've done a whole video on it. Variant covers and the modern books in general, you're literally just, it's penny stocks. And if you don't know what penny stocks are, they're stocks that are like valued at under $1 and sometimes fractions of a penny. And they're not on the main stock exchange because they're usually not saying like they're bad companies, but they're usually companies that probably aren't that good. But there's some that if you graduate from the penny stock and you make it up to the dollar plus stocks, the normal stocks that everyone looks at, the normal stock exchange. But the penny stocks, it's like they have wild swings, and that's why people like them, because you could pick up, millions of shares at a fraction of a penny, and if, it goes up to 1 penny, then you made a bunch of money. And you never know what it's going to be. And so that's basically moderns and variants. It's like they have such wild swings, and you never know which one's going to catch, and it's literally like less than 1% are ever going to be valuable. Like way less than 1%, like a fraction of a percent are ever going to be valuable. And so it's like, I don't want to take that chance. I don't. I would rather see a track record. That's how I am. That's better. I don't want to, like, sure, if you bought this at whatever, $5 or whatever new comic books cost, sure, you made out. Great. But I'm not going to buy this at $2,500. Like, think about it. It's a brand new book. What do you expect it to go? $5,000 and then you double your money? You know how insane that is? Come on. Like, 50,000, you sell it to someone for $5,000 and then you wanted to go up 10x and you have 50,000. When? At what point will it be a $50,000 book? It's already too high. So yes, what do I think about this book? I don't know. It's probably just going to hover around, probably. I don't know how big of the demand is for it, and how big of the supply. But I imagine it's not going to be much more worth more than it is right now. Maybe way down the line, sure. But I would not take the risk as this a long-term investment. Usually, if someone has this book, I would sell it now. Just get out from under it. It's not even worth, like, unless you really like it, then keep it. But as far as like an investment, no, it's just too risky. Too risky. All right, next we got Amazing Spider-Man #4, first appearance of Silk. 9.4 is down 61% from 245 to 95. 9.6 down 63% from 300 to 111. And a 9.8 is down 63% from 515 to 190. So this has been steadily going. It's still dropping. It looks like... Nope, it's still dropping a little bit. Not as fast as it was before, but still dropping. I know that They mentioned that Silk will be in the next Spider-Verse movie that comes out in like 9 months from now. That could probably give it a little boost, but yeah, I mean, this one got a comic book hype, and then it's like there's always been rumors about Silk appearing, this or that, and so I think all the hype that's into this book has already come and gone. So even if Silk does come out, how big of a character is Silk going to be? I don't know. I heard somewhere there might be a Silk like cartoon on Amazon or something weird, or I don't know, because Sony is just like kind of licensing off the rights of their own characters that they're licensed from Marvel. Very weird. But yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about that other than that's what's going on with this book. All right, next we got NYX number 3, first appearance of Weapon X 23. Right? 23, yeah. A 9.4 is down 40% from 840 to 500. 9.6 down 37% from a little over 1,000 to 665. And 9.8 is down 47% from 2261 to 1190. So this book, yeah, it's X23. What did I say? My brother asked me, we got a 9.8 of this. And he's like, oh, we should keep it and put it in the vault. And I'm like, we get 9.8s all the time. Not all the time. It's not like we get them every day, but, probably 2 or 3 times a year. And I was like, he's like, oh, they're that common. And I was like, yeah, they're not that hard to get in a 9.8. If we got 9.9, sure. But even when he wanted to put it in the vault, I was like, we literally have another one up for sale. So we had 2 at the time. I think we still do have 2. Do I think of this, like, I think X23's best days are behind her in terms of popularity. I'm not saying that this character can't have a resurgence, and I'm not saying that just because her best days are behind her, that this book is not going to go up in value. I think this book will continue to drop around the $800 to $1,000 mark for a 9.8. I think that's where it's going to be steady at, and I think it'll be steady there for a while, and then it will probably slowly go up over time. Will it ever go back to 2,200? So if it hovers around, say, the $1,000 mark for a while, you're looking at a 2.5x increase. Yeah, I think it will reach it in, like, if you're asking me 10-year time frame, sure. I think the probability of it reaching 22, like, I'm assuming that you're not going to have any movies or anything about X23. You're not going to probably have like a TV show or a cartoon with X23. Maybe as like a cameo appearance in one, but not like this main character or something, or main story arc in a TV show or cartoon. I imagine the character in the comic books will just be kind of like what it is right now. Not a huge deal, but just kind of there. I think it could hit 2,200 again in the next 10 years, but I think it's going to hover around $800 to $1,000 for a couple years, and this slowly, steadily go up over time, just a little bit, and maybe eventually in 10 years reach that spot. But all right, next we got is Iron Fist 14. A 7.0 is down 47% from 750 to 400, and 9.0 is down 62% from 1367 to 522, and a 9.6 is down 46% from 2600 to almost 1400. This is the first appearance of Sabretooth. I mean, this book got hit like a lot of books with the comic boom. It's been going down. It's not, like, if you look at those numbers, 47%, 46, 62, it's not as bad as other comic books and how much they got hit. It's not even bad as that, that Spider-Man, the Eminem variant cover, which is down like 75% in 6 months. So, yeah. So, less than that. But overall, I think this is a good book. It's just like, if you just look at that graph, how much it went up in that short amount of time. It's like hard to like come back from that. That brings me to my next point is comic books. If you're looking at comic books as an investment standpoint, you got to stop. This is not a get rich scheme. It is not. You got to stop looking at comic books like that. People that look at comic books like that, I'm sorry. Like, sure, there's the occasional modern book that you grab for, like that M&M cover. I don't know what it was out of the gate, but even if it was $100 and then you're the first one to get it CGC and back, it's like, wow, I'll turn $100 into $2,500. Yeah. But now look at it now. It's like, if you're like the sixth one out of the gate, it's like, well, now it's way back down, and so on and so forth. But for every one of those, there's like 1,000 others that literally sell for less than cover price. I get collections all the time of just, books from the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, these are all 9/8. They're not worth grading because they're literally not worth grading. The cost that it costs to grade them, not worth it. And they'll sell for less than someone paid for them cover price. Like 99 cents is what they'll sell for. And that's most comics. Only very few actually make it very high. So it's best to find ones that are already doing well and then ride that wave instead of trying to guess which one is going to hit with, a fan base. And it's not a get rich quick scheme. Like, people need to never think that about comic books. Comic books are, I buy them because I love them and I enjoy them. Also, in the back of my mind, I'm also thinking like, hey, I should buy ones not only, like, for example, if you came to me and you're like, well, I really like Spider-Man and I really like, what's a terrible character? The Green Llama. And they're both equally my favorite characters. I don't know who this person is, but maybe there's one person out there like that, but doubtful. And you came to me, it's like, should I buy a Green Llama #1? Or should I buy a Fantasy 15? I'd be like, well, if you like them equally the same, buy your favorite first. But if you like them the same, maybe go for the Fantasy 15 because that's going to get you the best return on your money and things like that. So that's how you should think about things. Like, I really like this character, so I'll buy their first appearance. Oh no, that's not a good character to buy long term. Okay, well, what other characters you like? Well, I also like the Hulk. Okay, buy a Hulk 1. That's a great book to get. Things like that, or a Hulk 181 or something like that. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and then it should be one of those things like, if you just buy characters you like, books that you like, but realize that some books that you buy, I even buy books myself, I'm like, well, this is not a long-term thing. It'd be probably worth less than what I paid for it in 10 years. As opposed to this one, I know that I'm buying is going to be, not only do I like it, but I know it's going to be worth more in 10 years. You go with that in mind, and then you just forget about it. And then you just have them, you collect them, you hold them, and you enjoy them. And then 10, 20, 40 years down the road, you decide, I'm done comic books, I'm ready to retire, or I want some extra money, whatever it is. Then you go to sell it, and then you make money on that return on that investment. It's not a get rich quick scheme at all. That was a terrible choice. I mean, yeah, this is not like NFTs and all that other stuff, which is basically scams. People buy those things with the intent. And that was the biggest thing I had about against VV, is people bought them with the intent of it going up. Like, it's going to 10x. Well, guess what? If you keep on 10xing every time it switches hands, eventually it gets more money than the entire world has combined. You can't just keep going up. It's like, I bought this for 100,000 and I'm going to expect it to 10x to $1 million in a month. And it goes up to $1 million. Then you have to find someone who's going to buy it for 10 million and then someone to buy it to 100 million. Pretty soon it just gets too high, and you get less and less people at the top that really want to spend that much money. And they're only buying it for the reasons of trying to make money and 10xing your money or whatever it is. So it's not like that. If you even think about like art in general, like when I'm talking about NFTs, look at like in those stupid Bored Apes are selling for millions of dollars. That was dumb, so dumb. It's not even good art. And I know art is subjective, but it's bad art, objectively. But if you go for someone like Pablo Picasso, he's objectively or subjectively one of the most renowned modern artists. But his stuff, he was born in the late 1800s. His stuff took, like, the most expensive painting of his is like $140 million. But you can also get little sketches of his for like $120,000. Like, so that's the range. So maybe an average painting is around the $5 to $10 million mark, somewhere in there. But his stuff, his most expensive stuff is, early 1900s, like 1910, 1920, 1930. That's where his expensive stuff is. And that took 100 years to get to that. 100 years to get to the couple $1 million marks, $5, $10 million. So when you see something that's like, think about this. Another thing that took to get to like $5, $10 million mark, Action Comics #1, 1938. I mean, I'm sure if you had the top grade, it'd be like 10 or 15 million. That took 100 years, nearly 100 years to get there. So if you're looking at an NFT or VV and all that kind of stuff, and you're saying, oh, it's worth $1 million, it just came out.